April from Spark Today, and I'm coming to you from the Hempstead County Economic Development Corporation office in downtown Hope. I'm here today with EDC Director Steve Harris and Arkansas State Representative Danny Watson. They're going to give us some information. You may have heard recently whispers about the possibility of Hempstead County becoming a site for the building of a maximum security prison. They're going to give us the latest information on that. Steve, can you tell us, because you said the other night there are actually two possible sites. Tell us just a little bit about what it is that might be built here.
Yeah, there's two requests the Department of Corrections sent out statewide to communities, the ones that wanted to expression of interest. And so we have submitted a proposal for a 1,000-bed maximum security. That's the large prison site. And then a couple weeks later for the smaller prisons, community prison, which is about 250 inmates, and it's people on parole and things like that. So in the, they had certain criteria in the amount of acreage that they wanted, and so we've had submitted both, and we have the option of being co-locate both of them on one site or separately.
So Hempstead County, as a community, has submitted interest on both sites.
Right.
Okay.
And so, what we look at from the economic development standpoint is the benefit. And so, obviously, the large prison will employ 370 people, and including medical staff and counselors and guards and things like that. And the other one, the smaller one, will employ 98 people, and it'll have 250 inmates. And so what they were looking for is obviously being 60 miles from an existing prison, and so and wanted it primarily a rural location, and at least a quarter-mile buffer from businesses. So we submitted two sites for the large prison that also could co-locate the smaller prison with that, and then we submitted two other sites that if just for the smaller ones. And at this point, we were the only community that submitted for the large prison, and there's three communities that submitted for the small prison. And what the State Department of Corrections wants the community to do is to donate the land to them, and they will build it. And so, and Danny, I guess this will be funded this session, and you might explain where that's at. So
that is correct. I understand it will be. I wish I had a whole lot more information I could say on that part. Round one of the legislative session has just completed. On our governor's two things that she wanted accomplished. One of them was in reference to schools and education in public schools, and the vote came this past week. I don't know if we're going to take a 2 or 3 day reprieve rest to get serious on corrections, but that is forthcoming, and I'll have more information on that for sure. Naturally, if someone will donate land, that should be prior, or go ahead for somebody. They have to purchase the land, pay money for it. Just so happened that we have, or everybody on the team has worked hard and found somebody that's willing to donate some land. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Whether it comes into fruition, I don't know. It's looking good, and also for the fact, Steve, that you just mentioned, we were only one that has submitted for a site proposal for the 1,000-bed facility. So, at least in my words, we have a seat at the table. So we're just waiting further, and there's going to be a checklist. There's going to be a lot of things that we're
early on in the process.
Exactly, and we have already started on that. That's correct.
You were talking about the locations and requirements. I've had asked, people in the public have asked, what is the requirement for, how far does this have to be from a residence and a school? Right.
The basic requirements, and this is kind of their wish list, would be a half mile from any business or school or anything like that. So that's, one reason they wanted more of a rural location. So we've found a site in the north part of the county that's between Blevins and Prescott, and we found one on the west side between Hope and Fulton that kind of meets those criteria.
And that's the same for residents, half mile?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, they have other checklist things, has to be on a paved road, relatively close to a hospital, although they're going to have their own medical staff, on site. And, utilities available. So there's really no perfect site that's going to meet every requirement. Correct. Because, for instance, one of them, there's no water available on site, public water.
Infrastructure will have to be
infrastructure
built.
will have to be, put in there. But, the annual, on the large one, the annual payroll is going to be $21 million. So, for us in economic development to accomplish something like that with a private business, this is going to be the second largest employer in the county on day one. So there's a tremendous economic development benefit to this. And it's steady, it's recession proof, and it'll be here for a long time. So.
Well, what are some of the things that still would need to happen in order for this to become a for sure certainty?
Okay. One of the things, and I'm sure it will happen, but again, the pertinents have not been out there yet.
Yeah.
And this will be done, that I understand, under the guidelines of the Department of Corrections. And it needs to be done, a public comment time period. Again, we don't know when that'll happen. We don't know if it'll be 15 or 30 days. But I want to say we want public buy-in, and we really do. But in the same breath, let me just say this. There are some areas that were not Johnny on the spot the way we were here in Hempstead County in southwest Arkansas, and the time has already gone by, and I've got a feeling there's some of them all gone. I wish we would have. I wish we would have done our diligence to got our name in the hat. So there's quite a few things. Public comment I mentioned, and I know there's a lot of after scenes because I had some phone calls earlier in the week while I was in the session in reference to trying to get some more answers on some utilities.
Okay.
We know Hope Water and Light will go this far out. If it's going to be located a little bit further than what they normally serve, who will they be the next provider? Are they interested? Can we hook up? How much will it cost? So there's a lot of things. And you mentioned also infrastructure. So that's going to be another thing to make sure we get these the little dots connected on the infrastructure from water, electricity, sewage. And we want to make sure at the proper time, when that time gets here, we want to make sure that with assistance on the state, and I'm going to refer to the Arkansas Department of Corrections, potentially that we can get some info out to the other states for potential job fairs and stuff like that. Because the buy-in is going to be tremendous. And what we talk about in the state, and what you talk about all the time in economic development, is an employable workforce. That's going to be critical too, because we know how the environment is in all facets of industry these days and trade. So we will make sure those check marks still get done on those check boxes. We have a real good head start right now. We just were informed, Steve, 2 weeks ago, that we do have a seat at the table. So, and also the young lady that Chief of Staff Department of Corrections that Steve and I hand delivered the paperwork to, she did say before we departed in Little Rock, before we left, she said, guys, y'all know state government the wheels turn real slow, but in the same breath she said, but time is of essence. Time is of essence. Because we know anywhere between 2 and 2.5 years to get a facility built. So that's a long time. So, and it really hurts me. And I understand the numbers are even up more over the 75 counties as far as the prison population that's backlogged into the counties that's supposed to be in the Department of Corrections, close to 2,000 now. So that'll take up 1,000 bed facility like that, and still not be so. There's a lot of things, and we just want to make sure we keep our our nose to the ground, and I know economic development and Steve Harris and other ones working with him are thinking out loud on the loose ends, because he communicates with me, and hey, that's a good idea, Steve. I hadn't thought about that, and then I'll try to make some suggestions too, because we're all in this together. Or quite frankly, it won't happen.
You mentioned they even come out and test the soil. I mean, they go through a pretty lengthy process before a site can be approved.
Yes, they'll have somebody from a particular state agency that deals with this. I want to say Department of Heritage, but don't quote me on that. But there'll be a department. We have a group of scientists, and there'll be a part for the soil samples. And we have, and I will say this, economic development, what testing and what knowledge they already have on the plots of land from previous engagements on other facilities and other potentials. I do know that was submitted to. That will kind of expedite things. The state may want something more current, but at least they have an idea that these guys, we have been doing our homework on it. Because I think it kind of impressed her when I was looking at. It was a table full of stuff: color photographs, aerial, topographic, soil, the exact survey plots and stuff. Like, wow. I mean, she was just, and I think that's impressive. And also, it tickles me to death. And they requested this. I read this. They went ahead and did packets for each board member. I mean, it wasn't just like one, hey, you make your copies. Right. I mean, they requested it to be that way. And that's how it was. I mean, it was a handful of stuff when we walked in there.
And didn't you say out of 75 counties, Hempstead County was the only one to meet the deadline for the maximum security prison?
That's right.
That's correct.
Now, some of them were ruled out because they already have one, or they're within 60 miles of an existing one. So,
what's the furthest one away from here?
Well, the closest?
The
closest. I meant
Malvern. Yeah,
Malvern is.
It's
okay.
Yeah. So it's the latest one that's been funded. I think it was like 2003, wasn't it?
Correct. And if I'm not mistaken, I may be mistaken, but I don't think I am. I do think that may be the last one built in the state of Arkansas was the Malvern unit.
Right.
And some people may remember, may not, but the one in competition at that time was Nevada County, and supposedly for the soil issues and unstable soil for the site is why they went to Malvern instead of Nevada County, is what I was told.
Okay.
And that's been quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
You said it takes 2 or 3 years to get one built. Is that from the time they start construction, or is that including this time period in this process checklist?
Yeah.
Steve, it'd be guessing me. I'm going to yield to you on that.
Yeah, I think their timeline is once they make a decision.
Once it's for
and so they've got a timeline to plan it, and that includes investigating the sites and everything. It's about a year to do that.
Okay.
And to plan it all out and get the bids out, and so we're probably talking around $100 million project to build the large prison. And then once they let the contracts, it takes about 2 years to build it. So we're 3 years out from now, to have a completed prison. So now the smaller one may be a little bit quicker. Yeah.
But in addition to what you said, this being, you called it a recession-proof business. This really is, if there is the buy-in from the community that you would like to receive, this really is an investment.
Right.
Basically, and it may be a bit before to see the return, but it is a long-term investment.
Right, and it's almost like most economic development projects, even if it's a private business, that it's a year and a half, process.
You have to have patience to be this big, don't you?
Right, yeah. So you're building for the future, and then Danny talked on something about the future workforce and everything, the things that we try to do to help prepare with the Bobcat Works program and some of the other things that, you got to look long term.
Exactly. The collaboration that we have had with our chancellor at University of Arkansas, Hope Texarkana, is unbelievable. If she was in town and we had one of our meetings, she was there. And I haven't experienced yet or seen the resistance yet. I mean, the players the players that want to see this work, I mean, they have contributed. I mean, all facets. A doctor, Chamber of Commerce, police chief, lieutenant. I start to say lieutenant governor. The city manager is unbelievable. Court members, city people is unbelievable. They're just offering assistance, and I make sure not to get the cart before the horse. But as many as I'm seeing, the energy folks at the Capitol, and me still serving on Joint Energy, I have filled their ear with it. Hey, I don't want to get the cart before the horse. I always start out that way, but I want you to be thinking about this. And during our conversation, you can watch them. Their eyes kind of start tailing off. They're really, really thinking, Hempstead County, 1,000-bed facility. That's going to be a big facility. And that's what we want. That's the kind of stuff we want. So they'll be thinking, because we're going to be having to go to them when it comes that time, instead of just hitting them off guard. Well, this is the first I've heard of this. I mean, that's what we don't want. So,
well, to kind of wrap things up, we can come back as we get more updates.
Absolutely, right.
And continue to give the community all the information we know as it comes in. But this will be, a lengthy process with a lot of steps and a lot of boxes to tick, like you said. To wrap it up, is there anything you want people to know? And I'll ask each of you, what do you most want the public to know about this project? I'll start with you, Steve.
Well, it's a big economic development project. It would be a great benefit to the community, and if we want our community to grow, we've got to keep adding jobs, and it helps us diversify our economy too. So we're not just dependent on manufacturing or retail. This gives us another sector of the economy that's, as I said earlier, it's kind of recession-proof. It's going to be steady. So.
Okay.
There will be no fear of, should be no fear as far as having a Department of Corrections in their county. Utmost professionalism as far as training goes. And to be honest with you, it's like a small city because it is self-contained, medical. There'll be training, health facilities, all the different things. Food service is unbelievable. Think about that. Trucks going in and out with the business. Training for reentry. There'll be training for reentry. What I'm referring to on that is when it comes time for somebody to be released. The Department of Corrections is going to do everything they can to make sure they're trained to be join a productive workforce one day.
I'm glad you said that,
and
because
that's critical. That is critical.
One of the biggest concerns I've heard is what happens when they get out. And
that is correct. So also, I want people to be thinking about this, and I know Steve and I have visited on this before. This is going to be a state-of-the-art facility. Our Arkansas Constitution says that when someone's convicted, after they go through the process, it goes to the court, they're going to serve out their sentence. They're going to be remanded to the state of Arkansas to serve their sentence out. And this is spelled out. This is not just something that we just thought about, or I, as a legislator, hey, I want to do this. This is our duty. This is the state's duty. And the opportunity is here to potentially locate something. And I hope people see that. But it's going to be a safe facility. I mean, it's not going to be a county lockup. This is operated. The ones who work there will be state employees. So, and also keep in mind, too, there's going to be some more 1,000-bed facilities built.
I see what you're saying. They're going to build
it's going to happen.
regardless.
It's going to happen.
So what you're saying is, why not
correct
here where
get the
we can
economic
receive?
benefit.
Okay.
Because, again, this is going to be state of art. There hadn't been one built since the Malware unit, I understand. And this is not going to be just a cinder block building with wire around the back. It's going to be a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, I think the Attorney General said we actually need 5,000 beds right now. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We will bring you more updates as we have them. This is April from Spark Today, your neighborhood network, bringing you breaking news and sports coverage.